Hello, my name is Anthony Newman. I'm a publisher at Elsevier, and today I want to talk about identifying research gaps. So the Hungarian pharmacologist and Nobel laureate Albert Szent-Györgyi said a very interesting thing. Research is seeing what everyone else has seen and thinking what nobody else has thought. So that characteristics of research is best personified by the identification of a research gap. What's a research gap? Well, think of it, you can see it like this, as a jigsaw puzzle whereby you look at a missing piece. So a research gap is a problem that's not yet been addressed or answered in previous studies, of course. It might be that it is not even known about. It just happened because one answer was creative, but created much more questions. It's a topical area which missing or inadequate information is there. It limits the ability of reviewers to reach a conclusion for any given question. So research gaps, of course, are the center of any research, determining which areas which seem to lack critical information. And they're particularly important for progress in science in general, identifying a research gap and developing a new and sustained study or series of studies that can lead to new findings that can positively impact our whole society. So how do we go about identifying a research gap? There's 9 primary steps to help you on this journey. So firstly, look for inspiration in the published literature. Read literature within the topic of your choice, and it's allied subjects. It'll help you understand the existing depth of research in your field, and it should provide you with an opportunity to ask yourself questions that can lead to discovery of a research gap, which is a very useful way to focus yourself on research in the future. And so some of these questions to ask per paper or per publication is, what's the significance of this research to my work or the broader field? How can it help me formulate my research questions? Does the author's argument require more clarification? Are there things not being said or not addressed, in your opinion? What issues or questions has the author not addressed? Is there a different perspective that I could consider? Is a question you could also be thinking of asking yourself. Are the methods or procedures used outdated or no longer considered valid in my field as the field's moved on? Is there scope for me to test the findings using a more current approach? And do you know the cutting edge methods of analysis that should be used? Again, something for you to perhaps discover. These overarching questions can help you lead to a research gap in your next topic of research, because if there's nothing being published there, then something needs to be published there. Something needs to be researched there. So what do? You find keywords and related terms to your selected topic. Besides synthesizing the topic to its essential core, this preparation helps you with the next steps in the process. This will help you to find and filter out information that's pertinent to your area of interest specifically. And of course, always seek help from your research advisor or other senior colleagues. Discuss the issues and problems in your field with your research advisor to generate ideas for research. Suggestions from an experienced researcher may also spark new and interesting approaches. Clearly describing your ideas and finding what others think and are working on may well help you identify a research gap, or even recognize mistakes in your approach to finding this gap. Recognize the power of your network to help you get more information, more specific information. And of course, you can use digital tools to seek out popular topics or most cited research papers. Digital tools can save time, can help you cast a wider net in your search for a research gap. They also help you keep track of the resources you have already read and referenced, and can help you with manuscript preparation later when you come to write your paper. At the end of this presentation, we will provide you with a list of commonly used digital resources for researchers. And check the websites of influential journals. So many prominent journals, useful journals in your field, often have a section called Key Concepts, where excerpts in our area are highlighted, the central area in that field. This section can offer many insights and generate new ideas as well. And some journals also provide insightful webinars for researchers such as you to read, listen to, understand, to help you find these research gaps. So looking at the references section of the most impactful or highly cited papers in your field is also a great important source of resources on the topic for you. So make a note of your queries. It's good practice to note down all the questions that cross your mind while reading any published literature. If possible, you should map the question to the resource it's based on. This will also help you to ensure there is no unintended plagiarism when you come to write your research paper. Remember, you can use tables, charts, pictures, or other documentation tools to maintain a record. This can help you and your co-researchers, co-authors in the long run, both during the development of your idea into a research project and also while writing your manuscript a bit later on. So you've got to think of that, you've got to research each question. So identify if other researchers have had questions similar to yours and see if they've found answers. This will help you to avoid duplication. And of course, if they've not found answers yet, it reinforces the value of any answers you do discover. Remember to consider the time frame available to complete the research, as well as funding, equipment, and infrastructure before finalizing a research idea. You do not want to run out of time or resources partway through. Remember, your project must strike a fine balance between managing time, budget, and an effective research communication to get the approval of the funding committee and or the journal's editorial board or peer review process. So you have to be aware of the literature gap. If there is a knowledge gap, there's also a literature gap. So gap in research will naturally give a gap in literature. Nevertheless, it's important to stress the importance of language or text formulations that can help identify a research or literature gap. And on the other hand, make it clear that a research gap is being addressed. So some people will say things which imply that they're actually looking at this. Others are saying this still needs to be fixed. So look for expressions in manuscripts or printed papers that often indicate gaps. They would include things like has, have, not been, studied, reported, elucidated, is required, is needed. A key question is or remains, it's important to address. And of course, the final one, future areas of research. Often the concluding paragraph of a paper talks about what still needs to be done in the fields. That's a great way for you to look at research gaps. And another way to get yourself up to speed is to read systematic reviews. Review papers move deeply into scholarly literature and often identify trends and paradigm shifts and new and novel concepts in fields of study. And of course, sometimes they reveal areas or topics that need even more attention from researchers and scientists. Now that you know the basic steps to identify a research gap, here's something for you to think about for a few moments. A sort of practical exercise. The impact of the COVID-19 pandemic has been far-reaching and across multiple disciplines. What aspect of your field of study, bioscience, humanities, healthcare, economics, etc., can you correlate with the pandemic? And what are the research gaps you can identify? And then you could then be thinking about that question with all the various things that have previously been mentioned, and that should generate potential areas of study if you are applying what we just talked about. So just think of it as a practical way of working out, if you know, what we're going forward. And so there are many tools that can help with identifying research gaps, and here are a few of them. So Mendeley is the one I think is a nice one to be aware of that has many facets. It's a free reference manager, so store all your references in and can download them in different styles immediately. Also, it's a social network tool, so you can have all of your co-researchers talking to each other through this networking tool. And at the same time, you can use Mendeley data for storing all of your earlier experimental work as like a preprint server. And then you have other sorts of things. If you're working in the area of medicine or life sciences, then PubMed is a great search engine to looking for things in that area. If you're not in the area of medicine or life sciences, then Scopus is really a useful tool to have to go look at all the various things that are possibly been published in the field. The filtering system is, once you get to use it, it's very easy to use, very smart tool to track, analyze, visualize. You can set up alerts. It tells you when people are publishing papers in your particular research field. And so it's also very popular in areas of social science research. And PubCrawler is an alerting service. Again, alerting services are great for you because you're busy people. So if you can actually have various alerts telling you what's being published, like a Scopus alert or a PubCrawler alert, that makes your life a bit easier. Zotero is another sort of reference managing tool. So there's that, and there's other ones out there, but these are good ones to start from. So thank you for listening to this presentation. We trust you gain some useful knowledge on how to identify research gaps in your field. Please get in touch using the following email address if you have any questions. And thank you for listening.